Yo, Rope-A-Dope Boxing has to tell you that this show is sponsored and brought to you by our great sponsors. Ohio Runs Boxing. Make sure you guys go check them out on Facebook and Instagram for all your Ohio boxing news. Again, that's Ohio Runs Boxing. Kevin Urrutia, a longtime supporter of the boxing game, man. We appreciate you. And another great world-class trainer, Universal Training, Hector Bermudez. We appreciate you guys' support. If you want to support, go to the Anchor or Spotify, hit the support button, and become a supporter today. Now stay tuned for your Rope-A-Dope show.
Let's get ready to rumble!
How good George Foreman is in punching and in taking a punch. I think he hurt Joe Frazier. I think Joe is hurt. Angie Dundee, Ali's trainer, right next to me is saying it. You may hear him. Down goes Frazier! Down goes Frazier! Down goes Frazier!
Welcome to Rope-A-Dope, the #1 boxing podcast for amateurs and pros alike. I'm your host, Lamar Champmaker Wright. I'm a professional boxing coach with 15 years training and coaching in the sport of boxing. I've taken many of amateurs to the pros, world-ranked boxers like Tyler McQuarrie, Sonny Fredrickson, and DeAndre Ware. I'm based out of Toledo, Ohio, where I mentor at-risk adolescents by way of teaching them how boxing is relatable to life. The mission of this show is to bring awareness to the sport that I love and have dedicated my life to. Now let's get to today's show. Man, we finally done it, Hector.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Hey, so listen, I want to apologize. I know we're like 30 minutes past due, man, but listen, this is all new to me. I'm doing it all by myself back here, you know, with the soundboard and the video, and then Hector was having problems, you know, he kind of old, so we had to walk him through it. No, I'm playing. It was all me, man, but we're going to get better. We're going to be on time, man. Appreciate you guys tuning in. So let me get right to it, man. I lost my train of thought, man, because all that right there, I had everything set up to do a great show, and then, man, running into them issues, man, it's woo, let me tell you. So appreciate you guys for tuning in once again, man. You're on Rope-A-Dope podcast. This is the boxing podcast. We're going to make it the #1 podcast in the world for boxing. Our guest today is the 6-time world championship trainer. His world champions victories include the stable of Verno Phillips, Javier Fortuna, TJ Duheny, Jonathan Guzman, and Carlos Gongora. When you hear the phrase "no boxing, no life," they are talking about Hector Bermudez, the real live boxing savant. Welcome to Rope-A-Dope podcast, Mr. Hector Bermudez. What's going on?
I appreciate you having me, man. I know it's rough. I know it's rough with this technical stuff, but I know I have a couple people out here trying to reach out and listen. And my apologies. It's also my fault too. I couldn't get this right. But
nah, man, it ain't your fault, man. It's, you know, so you know, like most of us, and you know, trainers in boxing, man, we don't like to we go learn on our own. So we're gonna have mistakes, and I learned all this on my own, man. I just, you know, I'm happy we got it here, man. We ain't even gonna talk about the time. So what's been going on, man? How your holidays been?
They've been good. I just came back from Puerto Rico, good vacation there. Went to visit my mom. She moved out there, and man, you know, I'm in the Boston area, so I hate to come back to this cold. It's depressing.
So how is it going down there? You know, so we got the same weather, me being in Ohio, you in Boston. And in the wintertime, it's always just gray, cloudy, just cold, and it is depressing. How is it going down there, spending all that time with that good tropical weather, that good breeze hitting you, man, that good salt water, and then coming back here?
Well, it was man, it was awesome. It's I forgot how good and how good the weather is down there. It's hot, but with a strong breeze. It's like it's 90 something, but you're not even sweating. Is I forgot it inspired me so much that I'm looking to move training camp down to Florida because it's cold. Every winter I say the same thing. I got to get out of the Boston area. Boston is awesome in the summertime, but every winter I'm like, what am I doing here?
But
But
don't that make you grind more though? Like if you want it, man, get out there, man, and 3 feet of snow and just start running.
um, well, I gotta inspire them to grind more.
You're right, but I'm saying though, but that's how you know they want it. It's cold.
Yeah, I mean, you got pictures of the great Marvin Hagler, man, running in Timberlands and Cape Cod and hoodies in the cold, and he trucking through snow. That is that's my go-to picture when I had to motivate them
Right.
to to do something in the cold. There's some signs too. There's some signs out there that that get you that says that it's good to train in the cold.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, these fighters, man, today, babies, they always they got to be comfortable. Boxing is not comfortable. It's not going to be comfortable when you get in that ring. So we got to make training has to be uncomfortable, man. Training can't be the way you want it. We can't go to the warm climate, be comfortable, everything handed to us, man. In the wintertime, man, it's gonna tell if you're gonna grind because you really got to go outside, do that road work, that strength and conditioning work, and that wintertime up here, especially with you being on the ocean and us being on the Great Lakes, man, that'll do something to you. You got to be a special person to go outside and do that. Now, I mean, I've seen fighters in my stable do it already. So I'm like, yeah, they ready for this. If they going outside in 2 below weather, boy, and running, putting in miles, boogers freezing in the nose, they ready.
Yeah, boxing definitely is something that you have to be comfortable being uncomfortable. Um, but there's some fighters. You have you do a great job out there. You mentoring the youth and you're in the community getting these kids off the streets, and that's awesome. I wish I could do that. I can't really do that. I wish I could just take kids to Trouble View, especially where I come from. But that's not like what I do. If a fighter's coming to me, they already they ready to they're already ready. They can't just come here and pussyfoot. So then as a trainer, I got to make it comfortable for them because I know they're going to go hard. I got to hold back the reins a lot of times rather than push them. And that's the position you want to be. You want to be able to hold somebody back instead of being the one cheerleading and have to push them. So the fighter, I say that to say the fighters that do come to me, they will grind in the winter, they will grind in the summer, and so if I have that type of heart and they have that type of ability, why not go somewhere warm?
I got you, man. And then speaking of the just the different aspects of us training, like you said, the fighters but you got fighters that you started from the amateur levels that you still have, but the majority of your fighters, like you said, coming to you, they're ready to go. So it's been a couple of times we've been together, man. You talk about you had to get away from us because it got a real emotional.
You said what? Say that again.
I said that, from the different type of fighters that you have fighters that you grassrooted that you had from the amateurs, but the majority of your fighters are the ones that, that you said are ready to go. But when you and I work together, you see the difference of, how I've been with every one of my fighters. And then you said that, every time you're around us, things get emotional and you got to walk off.
Well, there was one particular time where Tyler McCreary was speaking about you, and it's I think it was a Carl Frampton fight. We was in a fighter meeting, and I think he was talking to Andre Ward, and he was talking about you how you know, and I don't really know Tyler like that. I was, you know, you brought me in to help out, which was awesome, and so I don't really know the fighter that, you know, personally. But when he started, you know, telling Andre Ward and Timothy Bradley, he was telling them like his upbringing, and that's what I, you know, first time I heard about the mother and the father, and he was just saying that all he knows of mentoring is you, and you know, I don't want to misquote him. I don't know if he said his mother wasn't there in his life, or his father wasn't in his life.
His father.
Yeah, so you know, he kind of put the, you know, you're more responsible now, you know, as a coach to mentor him and to raise a man. And then, you know, I see the picture you had him since a baby, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that was emotional to see somebody, you know, speak out their pain and and you have to go, you know, you have to go through that. So sometimes, you know, I don't know how, you know, like Danny Garcia, for like people's father training their son is like, you know, that's a tough job to do, you know, because a lot of times with me, I don't get emotional with the fighters. You know, it is what it is. Like,
It ain't a lot of time. It's all the time, Hector.
yeah, well, I don't get emotional with fights. So it's like if I'm looking at a war, I'm looking at a chess game, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm seeing what has to be done, and sometimes what has to be done is not pretty. You know, so
Right.
now as you as his mentor, his father figure, his trainer, like you have to make that. It's easier for me to make that decision than you. You know, with me, I'm like, listen, you got to go forward, man. You got to, you know, you got to walk through muddy waters. You got to get through his offense, and then you got to get this shit off. You know, yeah, I'm seeing what it is that we have to do to win. I'm not being emotional, but now if you
Mm-hmm.
know Tyler is speaking of you the way he's speaking about you, like how can you not be emotional? Be like, man, if I get him to go forward, there's gonna be a chance of him getting knocked out. You know what I'm saying?
No,
So
you know
I
what though?
know,
It looking at it that way, that doesn't play. Like when a fight is happening, that doesn't play a role. The only thing that I think that I might tend to look to, as far as anybody else, as far as being emotionally tied to the fighter, is the safety first. I'm making sure that that they're safe at all times, no matter what. But I'm gonna tell them that they're gonna have to walk through their door. Yeah, I mean, you've seen it in the corner, man. Like, look, man, you got to do this to get this done right now, or this is gonna happen. So I think that's the only difference is being emotionally tied is that I'm always looking for their safety first, no matter what. To me, that's my only job there because man, I can never have that on my hands of saying, I could have stopped it a round earlier. I could have stopped it 2 rounds earlier. So for me, when we go into that battle, it's their safety first. But I'm gonna push them through the gauntlet. I'm gonna tell them everything they need to hear to get the win. But emotionally, me being emotionally tied, that's about it, man. I'm always looking for the safety first. So I guess I wouldn't sacrifice their safety. You get what I'm saying?
yeah. Well, you know, that's what also makes you a good coach. It's definitely, you know, you do got to protect the fighter. It's not the job of the referee or the commission. It's your job.
Right. Yeah. So man, but getting together, a lot of people don't even know how we got together, man, because you were on vacation and then you came back off vacation, and then
Yeah,
we ended up meeting through a mutual friend of ours, uh Mr. Fishgold
yeah,
Gunther. Um and bro, we had like the B side truck, you know what I'm saying? We're coming in, getting our ass whooped every every night, just learning. I'm like, damn, man, is this the sport of boxing here? And I just remember I had all, Tyler, Sonny, I had all these dudes that, they're kids. And I'm like, yo, I cannot let them come up through the pros like this, because they might as well just go to school. But what that did, man, it let me grow and learn the game and see the sharkiness of the game and see what side you wanted to be on. And once you get to one level, there's no A side or B side, but Hector, we rode around all through New York, the East Coast, man, with our fighters, putting up a good fight. But, at the end of the day, they brought us in there to lose. And we did that. Well, I know I did that for years until I was able to, mold my amateurs into what they became, and then, kind of switched it around.
Well, it's not everything. If you stay consistent, things ain't gonna stay the same. It's gonna change. It's tough when you have a winning mentality and you're constantly being put against the wall and and to lose,
Man.
That's the rough part. But you have to
But you
have
need it though.
you have to have the energy and the persistence to conquer. That right there conquers all things. The energy
Right.
and be persistent.
See, yeah, go ahead.
So I know that eventually it was gonna change. It's because
But you
of
already, but let me just cut in right there. But you already had a world champion prior to this, so it's like you're getting back off your vacation. So you're just, you're getting back after what the 12, 13 years?
Yeah. So I took a vacation for 12 years. Yeah. So it was starting. I was starting from scratch. The people around that was around before is no longer around, or they're no longer in boxing. So I definitely started from scratch, and the people that's gonna sometimes people just ain't gonna trust you coming out the gate until they know you.
Right. Right.
So it took some time, but I know that my whole life I've been doing this. So just like when you're watching two fighters fight, with time, sometimes the first 1 or 2 rounds they just going at it. They got energy, they got athleticism, but throughout time of a boxing match, class is gonna tell. So they're gonna the one is gonna separate from the other, and that's usually through who got better technique and who got more knowledge or better IQ. And that's how I see in boxing. I stay in it long enough, and I stay consistent and persistent. Keep studying, and eventually I'll grab the right fighter who has the same winning mentality that I have, and we can push along.
Yeah, I was just thinking about our journey though. It's like, I used to show up to spots and work, bring one of my guys that were on the B side, and I'll end up working the whole corner, like 10 corners. I'm just staying up there with my bucket. And I used to be at first I used to be embarrassed, and I was like, well, you know what? I need this experience. Man, I got so many rounds. I got so much experience from that. Just seeing how some guys came to get a paycheck, how some guys didn't care what happened, how some guys had losing records but really wanted to win. And for us to do what we did, coming off that B side and going into transitioning into the A side and accumulating those type of fighters, to me, we are the battle tested trainers, man. And then some of the trainers that do what we do never really fully get recognized. And I say this to say, last year, well, 2019 now, we both, again, maybe after 10 years of knowing each other, we both show up to a Showtime card. I had the main event, you had the co-main event, and even though we had our A side fighters, guess what? We were back on the B side. Everything was against us. It was like a blizzard. They put us in the coldest room. I don't know if your locker room was cold. You remember that time? But they put us in an ice box of a locker room. Couldn't warm up. Treated us like shit the whole time. I was like, yo, I've never been so disrespected by a promoter or a promotion, and made to be felt this way. But you set it off with your fighter, man, in a co-main event. You remember the fight I'm talking about?
Yeah, indeed. A Showtime. Yeah, no, that was a good day for both of us. We both was the underdog. It's always nice for the underdog to win. But
Right.
out of all those corners that we work in, I mean, knowledge is experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and you can learn it in two facets. You can learn it by your own experience or the experience of others. And
Right.
if you have a studious mind, I don't have to walk down the path that you walk down. So we gain knowledge, we gain experience off each other, and I just think that someone have to go through it, and you have to have a studious mind to obtain the knowledge and experience that somebody else went through to be able to apply it to yourself. So it doesn't matter. This is life. It doesn't matter if it's boxing or life. Like, one of the kids that you're mentoring, like you could tell them, like, you don't have to go down this path. Look who went down there and look what happened to the outcome. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's a lot of experience that we have, working on B-side corners. And look at so now people call me to wrap their hands. I was fortunate enough to wrap Tyson Fury's hands. People call me to do cuts. People call to train them. I'm I'm able to try to juice as much out of boxing as possible. People call me to manage them. So I'm well rounded, and all that comes from starting from the bottom.
And getting that experience, man. But that's why I say boxing, needs to pay more homage to that grassroots trainer, to that trainer who's really doing a lot, because the trainers are so overlooked, man. And trainers are really treated like, a dime a dozen, like, who cares? But it's the trainer at that bottom, at that grassroots, who is investing everything into that fighter, who brought that fighter into the house, who made sure that fighter stayed on the right track, who, left work, didn't get jobs because they generally cared about this fighter and wanted this fighter to succeed and keep that fighter off the path of destruction. So boxing needs to do a little better at that, man. With the trainer. Boxing is the only sport that plays the blame game with trainers. I don't you don't go see watch basketball, you don't watch football, and then one bad game talk about, oh, it's the coach's fault. They blame the players in the other sports, but boxing, man, is the most unforgiving sport. And professional boxing is enough to just, I'm talking about Mike Tyson gut punch the passion right up out of you. I mean, it's been times that's why I look at you, man, and I admire you, because I don't know how some of the times you don't know, that you say, you know what, fuck this, I'm about to pack it up, I'm gone. Because I've had that discussion with myself many a times, but I've always come back to, this is what I love, this is what I'm going to do. My goal is to get a world champion, and I'm going to get that. But it's so unforgiving, man. It's so unforgiving, and it's mainly so unforgiving for the trainer.
Well, a lot of times, so you see people see success, they see you win it, but they don't know it's like looking at an iceberg, right? You don't see the bottom of it, or you don't see the roots of a tree. You just see the tree, or you see the tip of the iceberg. You just don't see the bottom. So they just, they don't see what it takes to create this fighter, like you say, even just preparing them, or to come up with a game plan, or like people just don't. But it doesn't matter. Honestly, what it doesn't matter what people think or not. I don't care if they boo me or cheer for me. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not there. I'm not there for them. What I am there for is for the fighter. So it doesn't matter. I learned this from the speaker. I went to see him speak, and it was like I seen him twice. One time the place was packed, and another time it was just me and somebody else. But he never lost the passion. He was speaking
Right.
like he was speaking in a stadium. And I asked him afterwards. I'm like, man, it was just me and my man there. If it wasn't for us, you had nobody. And he said, I do this for me. I study for me, and I have this knowledge. I'm trying to help people, and it's here for them if they want it. If they don't want it, it's on them. But I stay the same. you know.
That's
So
real.
I learned a lot from that. So I translate that into boxing terms where, you know, if the fight is here or if he's not, I do it. I do it because even though I'm not that old, but even though that, you know, my time in the streets is gone, I done did my partying, whatever, you know. But now I have a mentality that I have to help, you know. So I don't do it for money. You know, I'm here to help. Whoever wants
I
it, they
get that,
can have it.
man. And you are telling the truth about that, but in boxing, we come in a sport where, you know, trainers don't trust other trainers because, you know, a lot of backstabbing goes on. So you really don't. There's really not that many connections that's made, like a connection that you and I have, a connection that I have with Joe Del Guy and a couple other trainers. Um, but you go up to somebody else that don't know Hector Bermudez, and you like, man, I'm just trying to help. They're looking at you crazy because they don't know you, and
Oh, yeah,
really, and that's
no,
and
definitely. I had that the other. I think something came into realization. I was speaking to somebody, and they didn't trust me, and they always have every excuse in the book for them not to you know put me in. But everybody around that person was like, "Yo, you should seek him out. You know, seek him out. He might have something that you know that you need." And well, for
yeah,
years, tell him that, and then we finally sat down and talked, and he had a different perception of me. You know, he walked away with a different perception. Um,
mhm.
sometimes you had to talk to the individual. You know, don't you know? Some people, you know, you're gonna always have haters out there, right? That's a given. But what you have, I have to stay true to myself. You know, and I just believe that what is within will always withstand. So I never, you know, when it comes to boxing, I'm not trying to shit on somebody. I'm not trying to talk bad about them. I stay the same. And that person, I was glad that person reached out finally and was able to see who I am for himself rather
Mm.
than, you know, the perception of someone else that was hating on me had. You know.
Yeah, and you know what, man, and I'm a true. I could testify to that. Like, you know, you've done nothing but try to excel me in many different levels. You know, you've shared knowledge with me. I've shared knowledge with you, and there's always, you know, we just had that brotherhood. I would tell anybody right now, we've already done it before, but I'll send my top guys to Hector, no problem. You know, because all I don't know why, but you know, you're truly there to really help them, man. And bro, I love you for that, man. You know, just to be that guy that just really want to help. And like I said, just because you want to help, a lot of people will talk bad about you. A lot of people will be like, "Oh, he's trying to steal my fighter." No, he's not, man. This is a man whose passion is boxing, who loves boxing, and if he knows you, he wants you to be better. So, and I think that's what I did different in boxing, man. I made like a Rolodex of all these great trainers that I can call, and you know, we could be masterminds together. Instead of me, I don't have to hate Hector because, you know, he's probably better than me than in all these different areas, you know, but I still have something to bring to the table and I can learn a lot from him. I don't know why boxing. Why do you think boxing's like that, man? Where everybody has to be so I don't like him, or you know, don't go over there. He's trying to snake. Why do you think boxing is like that? It's the only sport that's like that where really a lot of coaches refuse to really work with each other, or you know, it's the biggest dick contest between coaches all the time.
But um, for one, actually, there was this coach that told me this. He said that I'm gonna give a shout out to um, Roland Estrada.
Big
From
Six Dad, I know it.
Big Six, yeah, yeah, Big Six. Jason Estrada's dad. Jason Estrada
Mm-hmm.
could arguably be one of the best amateurs that U.S. ever produced. But speaking with him and speaking with this is another guy down in Connecticut, Louis Rosa. Uh, and that now about them two, I was speaking to another trainer, and they said that why don't you have those problems with those type of individuals? And the guy said, well, boxing is not a lot of educated people in boxing
Mm.
versus football and basketball that you have to go through some type of studies and whatever, however they do it. But I know they draft them from college, so they educated, and so maybe that's it. I'm not a I don't want to philosophize too much on this, but I just think that those two guys is very intelligent, and you don't get that type of hate from the normal or some boxing people. I just think the education, the know-how, and the knowledge of self. I just think that that's aspect is missing in boxing. Um, so that's what I got to say. I think it's
So
education.
you think the trainers who are more educated are more, I guess, secure with themselves to be able to work with other trainers? Is that
Yeah,
what you're saying?
because I one of my fighters, Abraham Nova and
Hmm.
Mark DeLuca, they I encourage them when they go out, they go on vacation, or they just listen. You need a break. Go to Vegas or go to California, and while you're there, go to a gym, work with this guy, work with that guy. I encourage them. Come back. Tell me what you learned. I could piggyback off it. Make them responsible for them learn to make them responsible for their education also. Like,
Yeah.
what do you think you need to work on? So another coach, like in football, you got a defense, so they got all kinds
You
of
got
different
10, you got 10 coaches.
yeah, yeah, and the good thing about it, a lot of them know their lane. Even though
Mm.
in baseball you got a pitching coach, they know their lane. Listen, I'm here to teach this dude how to arc his elbow or snap his wrist, and I'm not in the way of the other coach. So sometimes the fighter need to change. They
Right.
need to change the atmosphere, but that doesn't mean that you're out. You know, I think I see. I mean, I don't know what's going on with Robert Easter, that he's from your area, or Adrian Broner or Tank, but I think they're somewhere now in training camp, and their main coaches is not with them. I think it's awesome. I see, you can learn from everybody. When you go to college, you got more than one professor. You know, and that's how I view it. Like, I welcome help all the time. I don't never say no to anybody. Whoever want to come in and help and hit the mitts with one of my fighters or school them, you could come. We could all learn from each other. Because who is it
Yeah.
about? It's about the fighter, right? Because
Hmm.
if he don't win,
Yeah.
if
So
he don't win, you don't win, man.
right, and that's what I always said. So when I came into this game, like it's always about the fighter first. And then if I ever really felt like we go into a level that I feel like I can't handle, I will build a team. It's my job to build a winning team for the fighter that I work with, that I represent. So if there's ever a time where I feel like, we're going into this fight, we need to bring Hector in here and I need to take a back seat and learn more, that's exactly what I'll do. But there's a lot of coaches out there who just the ego's too big. They rather blow everything up they worked for years, just because their ego's too big. They don't want to take that back seat. They don't want to get the victory. I want the victory. I want a world champion. So if there's ever comes a time to where I feel like I got to take the back seat or I got to assemble the best team, that's my job, and that's what I'll do. And I've proven that, though. I've put great coaches in our corners together. I had you in the corner with me, and Robert Easter at the same time, man. That's two world-class championship trainers in the corner with little old Lamar. You know what I'm saying? So that's just assembling the team, man, because my ego's not that big. And the thing is, we got to do what's best for the fighter. We got to do what's what are you going to do for the greater good of the squad, the greater good of the team, man? And a lot of trainers, you have to do what's best for the team. And sometimes, I mean, you have to sit back and learn a lot more, bring someone else in to help you. Don't let your ego shut your dreams out. You know, be able to work with. There's some trainers that you'll never be able to work with, but there's some trainers that you know you'll be able to work with. There's some trainers that you know who are legit there that you guys can rock together and work together and, you know, build some things. And a team that does that, man, is a team from Ohio. They have an amateur team. They are running around here beating the shit out of everyone, man. Team Cartel, loaded with talented coaches, man, led and is led by head coach Rob Mufford, but they all work in unison together, man. There ain't no big me, little, big U's, little I's with them. They work great together, man, and that's why they're dominating in the amateurs right now, in the youth and the junior, and about to be the open division. So, you know, kudos to them on really how to work a team and get to the next level with, you know, with all the heads together. I read a book, you know, when you get enough heads together, they call that a mastermind. So it thinks like one head. So that's what they're doing. So Hector, how do you let's talk about some boxing real quick, man. What do you feel about the WBC? Well, really all the sanctioning bodies with all the belts, different type of belts they have out now. You really can't tell who's like the champion, who's the real champion. Are the sanctioning boxing bodies killing the sport of boxing, man, with all these fictitious belts?
Man, you took me for a spin because my mind is on what we was talking about before. Now you talking about
I know, but we gotta, you know.
So
now we're talking about, we're gonna switch it up. We're gonna pivot. You know, we're gonna make a pivot. You know, a little quarter turn right there.
Just to point out on what you were saying, like when a coach, I just feel when a coach thinks he know it all.
Go ahead with that. Talk that shit, Hector. Go ahead.
No, talk that shit. So I mean, it is what we know already that often prevent us from learning. So ignorance is being small-minded. So when someone thinks I definitely don't know everything, and this is what makes me nervous, is that I'm responsible for a fighter, and being responsible for that fighter, and that fighter needing me, that makes me nervous. So this is why we have to study many things. We wear many different hats as trainers. So we have to get in all those different type of studies. So one, we can recognize. I have a fighter that is very young, and he got his first real relationship. You have to know how to deal with that. You know.
Yeah, because if you deal with that the wrong way, it's a wrap. It is a wrap.
It definitely is. Huh?
Ain't no power of the P, man. The power of the P is the strongest power on the universe.
No, definitely. No, you definitely right about that. You have to know how to deal with different, like I said, you have to be experienced. I have another fighter that his tooth is bothering him, and I know he need a root canal, and now it's like I give him a phone number for a doctor for him to do it. You know what I'm saying? It's just that small of a scale. You know, the fighter comes to you and you have an answer.
Many caps. We wear many hats.
Yeah, so it's different areas that we have to study if we're responsible, as a coach. But that's funny. Yeah, you deal with that the wrong way.
Yeah, you deal with that in the wrong way, man. It's over with. That's why, I tell you, hey, you seen it. I ain't gonna say what the fighter's name, but you seen it with a fighter I was with. I was like, yo, don't even tell me nothing about your relationship no more. because it'll lead it to something else. I don't even want to go there, but because if you deal with it the wrong way, it's over, man. You're chopped. You're chopped liver. They'll be coming back and hey, yo, coach, I'm gonna have to see you later, man. We're going over here because so and so don't like you, and so and so.
Sometimes the female that they're dealing with have more power over you.
I told you it's the power of the P.
Man, that's pretty.
Ain't no power like the power of the P, man.
But But my point is that you do wear many hats. It's like you look like you know how to make a cake, right? It's more than one ingredient to make a cake, right? So
hey, you ain't gonna get to me more shots, but go ahead. If y'all don't know Hector, he might have said that humbly, but he ain't gonna get to me more shots.
No, but I mean, to become a master, you have to have more than one source of knowledge,
Oh yeah, I mean, a lot of people don't understand when you're a boxing coach, you're a psychiatrist, you're a therapist, you're a brother, you're a father. I mean, a secretary, you're all this. Like you said, one of your fighters needed a root canal. You had to go get the number. I would have had to go make the appointment. For real. That's what I would have had to do. They need applications filled out. I got to go do all that. So no, I get you, man. So a lot of people don't respect the position. So going back, all right, man. Let's circle back around boxing because there's a lot of stuff happening in boxing. Boxing's even though Corona hit in 2020, boxing really actually had a great year, and Corona really pushed a lot of those fights to happen. So even though it sucked for us as a nation and, everything that we went through and losing people and getting sick and having to worry about getting sick for the sport of boxing, it kind of pushed a lot of big fights and a lot of big fights happened. But with that being said, we're moving into 2021. A lot of fights are going to be happening, but we got to look at the sanctioning bodies. We got to look at, the WBC, WBA, IBF, WBO, now the IBO, being recognized by the WBA is officially the fifth sanctioning body for World Championship Boxing. But they have so many titles, man. Interim, silver, franchise, regular champion, super champion, and it's confusing. It's not confusing the people who deal with boxing, but it's confusing the casual fan. There's arguments about when Teofimo Lopez fought Lomachenko was the franchise champion, fought someone else. Devin Haney got an email, said, he was elevated to champion. Now he was the WBC champion. Teofimo fight was made with Lomachenko, and they called it the undisputed, the unified undisputed fight. And that Teofimo Lopez is the champion, but here you go with Devin Haney. He was the acting champion. What is going on with these sanctioning bodies? And to me, the only real sanctioning body that's not doing this is the IBF. They don't have like interim and super champion, and they just have one regular champion. What is going on, and what do they need to do to clean up? Like right now, who's the champion at 135? Is it Haney or Teofimo Lopez?
That's a loaded question. A lot of questions in there. So what is going on with the sanctioning bodies? One, people have to understand that I don't like talking bad about boxing. I love boxing. I hate speaking bad about it. I love the fighters. The fighters, it's a rough sport, but any fighter that you ever meet, you always say, man, he's a good kid. He's a good kid. You don't. These fighters is awesome. They put their life on the line. And then on the other end of the spectrum, other than fighters, you got businessmen. So the titles and all that. I hate to say that it's a business first before it's a sport.
Right.
So, and it's very evident. It's very evident. But we have to. I think that the way now that champions, I don't even like the way that champions and even these young guys. Someone like Tank. Tank is young, and he was. I remember at one time he was the youngest champion. I think now you got these young champions that because it's a business, they're fighting twice a year.
Mm. They
Where
need to be fighting 4 or 5 times a year.
yeah, at that age and just molding them, and as a trainer, like these fighters could get better if they got more experience. And I just think that takes it away from them. But the who's the champion at 135? You have to give it to Teofimo for shout outs to him. He had a couple of my guys in training camp for his last 2 fights. No,
But where's that leave Devin Haney though? How do you get this dude? How do you give Devin Haney a belt?
Well, you had different organization. You had one that was, he was elevated to a franchise fighter, where that meant like, you didn't have to have a mandatory. But now he's no longer the franchise. So the WBC had a regular world title that Devin Haney was the interim that he got elevated to. And but kudos to Haney, because I don't think he's not satisfied. He wants to fight. He wants to fight Teofimo. And that's a very, very dangerous fight for Teofimo. I think he's not satisfied, and I just think that who matters more is us, the people that are in boxing. Like you will matter more to me, or another trainer will matter more to me than the average fan of looking in and saying, "Oh, he's not a great trainer," or them casuals, them come and goers, they don't matter to me. So they shouldn't matter to how the world champions are viewed.
No. I don't want to say they matter, but I want the sport of boxing to be like it used to be in the 70s, man, where it was packed out. Everybody was talking about boxing. So when you got stuff like this happening inside of boxing, it's going to put a lot of bad taste in people's mouths. Like I feel for Devin Haney. How do you elevate this man? And he defends his WBC title, and then now the Teofimo fights Lomachenko, and then now you say Teofimo's the world champion. Like, man, it's bad for boxing. Business wise, it's not bad, but for bringing in new fans and elevating the sport, man, that is just bad for boxing. You shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah, but you like I said, I don't like talking bad about boxing, and I usually defend it. And in me defending it, you have basketball and football, and they could lose, and they'll come back and they strategize and they play again next week or in a few days, and like a boxer can't afford that same luxury. So I respect Haney to be. He's a world champion too. So is Teofimo. Yeah, we deserve to have that, because think about what fans do when one fighter get a loss on their record, versus the LA Lakers losing, having this losing streak or whatever it is, they got a whole bunch of losses, but the fans, like you mentioned that today, you're saying that it's unforgiving.
Unforgiving.
Yeah, so we have to protect the fighters, and the fighters got to protect them, and we have to sneak around and learn the loopholes to get in. They got to make a living for themselves. And so yeah, call yourself a world champion if you have a strap. I just got a fighter who won an IBO title. And they got a parade for him in Ecuador, and they celebrate him. He's the first world champion, and somebody look at it, oh, it's IBO. No, the fighter.
But the IBO is recognized by the WBA, so that makes it a legit sanctioning body.
Oh yeah, no, it's legit, but someone can say like, oh yeah, they're part of the main 3 or part of the main 4. But first of all, he was a 12-1 underdog, and look who he fought. And I could mention that a lot of fighters to win a world belt don't face hard,
or that type of competition. He fought for the title.
Yeah, so
He,
he why not look at yourself as a world champion? No, he shouldn't have to be scrutinized. If that's the way it is, then that's the way that it have to be. Then that's what we're gonna play. That's the loophole that we have to, So moving along. He's a world champion. He's a world champion. He's a world champion. Eventually, they'll fight himself. If they don't, they don't. I just think that the fighters should be celebrated to even make it to fight for a world title or to
man,
be
to
in
even get that level, to even get ranked, man, people don't understand how hard that is.
Yeah, so he should be celebrated. Well, we
Yeah.
can't afford where boxers can't afford to have one. So now we're looking at Teofimo, we're looking at Tank, and we're looking at Garcia. They call him the new Fab Four. Like, we already forgot about Lomachenko. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't even,
Well, that's the unforgiveness of boxing, man. You're only as good as your last fight.
Yeah, so we're not even like any day he could, I mean, it was only a 12-round fight, but boy, he was coming on in those last few rounds,
Yeah, that's what I seen. And I told people, he was laid back. Well, no, man, Teofimo's a big, strong 135 pounder.
Oh, yeah.
Even though Lomachenko was the reigning champion at 135, he wasn't a real 135. So he had to use his attributes to maneuver against the 135s. So when he felt that he had Teofimo Lopez kind of worn, that's when he picked it up. And I know he wishes he could have got him to that point earlier in the fight, but it just didn't happen, man. You got the youth of Teofimo Lopez, you got the strength, the size. But we seen what happened when Lomo got him to that point of what he could do after he used this, he had to let the man gas himself out. He had to take some steam off the missiles that boy was throwing, man. You can't play with Teofimo Lopez.
Yeah, no, I don't know if you've seen the Lamont Peterson and Danny Garcia fight.
Yeah.
Boy, Lamont put a licking on him late and bloodied his nose. He had him twisted. But early on, Lamont couldn't engage with Danny Garcia.
Too strong.
And he said it best. As a fighter, you have to take that into heat. He was like, no, and people were like, oh, if you would have started early, you could have won the fight. And then he said, if I would have started early, he could have caught me.
Right.
So
I seen the strategy inside the what Lomachenko was doing with Teofimo. He had to wear him down a little bit, but once he did, he showed what he could do. But in a rematch, I think Teofimo would take off a lot quicker because he knows that Lomachenko would. I think Teofimo would stop him in a rematch. I don't think Teofimo's gonna play with him because he remembers those late rounds. Like, we're not about to get there again.
Yeah, that's an interesting observation. I think Teofimo shouldn't give him a rematch. I say that. Just keep it moving.
But that's what he's going to do. He's going to keep it moving. But, I mean, 35, man, has not been exciting in a long time. And it's getting back there now. Like, you got 130 at Tank. Tank don't even fight 135, but he's mentioned right there with all the 135ers because, he's the payday. Now you got Ryan Garcia. I don't know if you've seen, but you told me we were talking the other day about this. I was like, look, man, Ryan Garcia needs to go back to the board, needs to go back and fix up some stuff defensively because if Tank Davis would to hit him with one of those shots Luke Campbell hit him with, he wouldn't get up. It'd be over with. It'd be good night. That man want that fight now, man. He told him he too ugly to be champ. Took the page out of Ali's book. So, man, you too ugly to be champ. We going and Tank, and like you said, Tank said, man, the fight's next. You already know that fight's happening. I don't like that fight right now. I don't like that fight right now for Ryan Garcia. I just don't think Luke Campbell did not give him the experience needed to see a Tank Davis, to see a Teofimo Lopez at that type of level. That's leaps and bounds the level of Luke Campbell, man. And you make one mistake with one of them dudes, good night. You're going to ask what happened.
Yeah, but it definitely didn't give him the experience, but it definitely gave him the confidence, right?
The confidence, that's hard to beat.
And he's confident, and he talking about he putting up that deuce, talking about in 2 rounds, and I think that right there is. I mean, to me, whatever. I know what it is, but it's good that he got like 8 million fans following him, and
Man.
that's good that to bring the what we talked about, the casuals,
Mhm.
good, so I could break down that, and I just know that, boy, if he get hit by Tank the way he got hit, no, Tank's a killer, man. But also on the other end of the spectrum, that hook is crazy too. So if Tank
That
get
hook
hit,
is that hook is crazy now. He's
so
telling.
so who can avoid who? You know,
But look, you got one. I got one shot. I got to worry about from Ryan Garcia, and that's the hook, right? You got to
yeah.
worry about both hands with Tank Davis.
Well, and Tank got to worry about the hype too, which is also awesome
But
that
he's used to it though. He's used to it. You see what he did with Pedraza,
yeah, he's friends with Easter, and I don't know.
Easter. 6 foot
I don't know.
one.
Yeah, I don't know if they spar with each other or
Oh, they
not.
spar all the time.
So that's good for Tank. Tank is accustomed to that height. Um, but yeah, I'm definitely tuning in to see it.
Yeah, man. So I mean, if I'm a coach, man, how do you get ready for Pitbull Tank Davis, man? The Sherman Tank. How do you get ready for him?
Well, if it's
And
if it's Garcia, he definitely got to go back to the drawing board because he don't have a clue on how to fight a southpaw. But I think I don't think that he would learn it over the course of one training camp because
right, that's what I'm saying.
when you get better as a fighter, that's in between camps. When you don't have a fight coming up, that you got the liberty to make mistakes and learn how to fight a southpaw. Um, he just went. Kudos to his heart. He got a big heart. He didn't know how to fight a southpaw. Luke Campbell was winning the foot position all day, the hand
All
position,
day long.
but he said, "Man, forget that. I'm gonna go get you." You know,
Yeah. He
and
showed
that
that
you could
dog.
do that. Yeah, you could do that against Luke Campbell. It's very
Not against
difficult to
Tank.
do that against someone like Tank.
So
Because
where
he didn't.
where
But I say this about Tank last fight: he was getting touched up. He was getting touched up, but the dog came out on it. He was like, "Man, forget all that. I'm gonna go get you." He did the same thing that Garcia did against what was the last guy he fought? De La
Leo Santa Cruz.
Santa Cruz, yeah. So
Yeah,
he
but you
went.
know what though? You know the difference was? That shot was educated. That shot was educated on Leo. He set Leo up for that.
Yeah, yeah. No,
So
he did. He did.
so to
Anyway, we know that Tank would be the favorite going into that fight.
yeah, so I mean, I gather from you that you don't feel that Garcia is ready right now. I don't feel that he's Garcia right now. So why doesn't Golden Boy step up and do their job and protect their fighter and be like, yo, let's pull back a little bit. Let's get a little bit more experience because if Tank Davis beats him, man, his his star power is gone. Where does he make other fights? You could still continue to build this kid. He's only what 22, 23. This dude is young. That's why I don't get why they're making all these young champions. This is the most we ever seen world titles change hands. It's like you flipping a coin, everybody's a world champion. You never seen that back in the 70s, 80s, 90s, because people became world champions around, mid 20s, late 20s, and they held on to them. They defended their titles. It's just not like that. It's about who can get there the fastest. But it's not about it's like these dudes don't care about holding on to these titles and being the most consecutive title defenses. Like they don't care about that no more. They just want to get to the money and that's it with it. But the Golden Boy needs to step up and be like, yo, let's pull back a little bit. We're not ready for him right now. We will be maybe a year and a half from now, but there's some things you got to work on. Right now, man, if he goes into there doing the same shit he did with Luke Campbell, Tank is going to bed rest him.
Well, I mean, if I was, let's say, to play devil's advocate here, I think the height. I think if he just uses his range, is learn a little bit of more rhythm, it's a whole different fight against Tank. Tank is a small guy. Remember, Tank is coming from 126, right?
No,
So
130.
well, wasn't he was a world champion at 126, right?
Mm, was he? He could have been.
Yeah,
He
he
could have
was a
been.
world champion at 26, moved up to 30. He's already like,
No. He's a world champion at 130. He beat Jose Pedraza. So I think his only weight class has been 130.
okay. So he's coming from 130, moving up to 135. This kid is a big kid at 135, you know. So I mean, so is Tank, but they just built a little different. So I think he can make it interesting if he could stay away from Tank's power. I just know that he just have to have a different outlook on how to deal with Tank versus how to deal with someone like Campbell or Luke. But yeah, they'll be around. I got a 135 coming up. Louis Arcon, he could surprise everybody.
What about your 130, man? Nova. He could surprise a lot of people in that 130 division.
Yeah, no, because this is Luis Nova. One boy got heavy hands. At any given moment, with both hands, they could. I mean, I feel real comfortable right now to fight someone like Ryan Garcia or Tank with Luis. I mean, Luis he's an
What, you
Olympian,
like
so
12-0?
yeah, 11-0, 11 knockouts.
11-0?
Yeah, I think I think he's I feel comfortable with either one. I just know we
Okay.
can come up with a good game plan to offset them.
Well, no, that's what you do, man. You stay in. A lot of people don't know about you. That's why I call you the boxing savant when you ain't in the gym. I don't know if you did it and do it now because you've been acting funny lately, but you'll go into that little room and you'll be secluded, isolated from everybody, just going over your boxing, uh, your boxing game plans, and learning and doing all that, and come out when it's time to train. But I think you don't do that no more because the power of the P is upon you. No, let me stop, man.
Well, so you got experience with that power of the P, boy, because you speak about that.
I do.
You speak about that
I
often,
do.
man.
I lost a lot over the power of the P.
But the power of the P is supposed to make you better.
It is. It is. Yeah, it does. It does.
A woman makes you better, right? The
Yeah.
right woman.
The right one for sure. And they're supposed to the power of the P, Hector. It's okay. Come up out there. So you don't seclude no more. Now you go to Puerto Rico and to go to DR and I seen you in the desert,
Yeah,
Hey, go ahead, man.
yeah, yeah. And then she was with me.
That's my guy right there, man, Hector Bermudez. So look, I appreciate you coming on here, man. I know you get tired of me bugging you.
No, this was fun. It was fun, man. But understand. I want all the readers to understand this. A man with vision needs a woman with perspective.
That's deep. That's deep. Anything else?
It it's definitely a true build. Because no one could do it alone. Even though the fighters are in there by themselves, they still have a team. No one can do it alone. Right?
I agree with that though, because everything in your life can be going great. And one hiccup in your relationship, man, you'll crash the ship. Everything you work for, you'll lose over that relationship, and until your head gets back together. So yeah, I definitely agree with you.
Yeah, if you want to go fast, you go alone. If you want to go far, We go together.
Man, look at my man right here, the real Teddy Atlas. Hey, man, we got to talk about that New York boy, Joe Smith, though, man, before we go. Joe Smith, man, I remember watching him fight on them circuits, and I used to be like, well, damn, this dude, though, he has 2 left feet doing, man, but this dude, like, he blossomed in his last fight with, what was it, Elder Alvarez? Did you see that fight?
Yeah. Yeah.
The dude's footwork was there, his distance and punching was there. It was like what happened to dude, man? It's like it clicked for him. Now he gets his world title shot.
Yeah. And who is he fighting?
He's fighting like you know what? It's for him. I never even heard of the dude, but he's fighting like a Russian guy that's like 31-1 or something like that. 20 or 14 knockouts. It's a title fight for the WBO title, yep. Vacant title fight. Yep. So, that's his. And
I remember him coming up and him getting better and better. And that's something to say, because he stayed consistent, he stayed with it. He didn't give up on himself.
Or his team.
Yeah, and a lot of I don't want to not put emphasis on the trainers because I'm a trainer myself, but sometimes the fighter will get it on his own. I know many trainers who couldn't train no one else, but they're
their star.
Yeah, it's because like let's say Danny Garcia's father, he don't train no one but his son. Felix Trinidad's father, there was this, I think it's Jojo Diaz's father or somebody's father that never had any experience.
Jojo Diaz's father learned off YouTube.
Yeah, so it's just
I want to say Tiafimo's dad too.
Yeah, it's just like it's just like learning, just like a relationship. You just care for it. You take care of it. You're there for each other. Take these guys to these fights. Take them to sparring. It's like a plant. You water it, and eventually they're gonna get it. They'll get it on their own. They do it from when they're a kid. They know their range. They know the distance. They know the rhythm of boxing. They know the timing. And you just have to be there. You just have to be there for them. Not to take it away from the trainer because it makes it that much easier when the trainer do know what they're doing. But hard work is the best investment a man can make. So that's what's going on with Smith. He worked hard. He stayed with it. Some people want it to happen. Some people with it would happen. Some others make it happen. And I just think that everyone should take a. I have a fighter now that I'm arguing with him that he should stay boxing. He wants to quit. He had a bad outing, and he wants to quit. And I see so much potential. Yeah, you so what that you lost, and he wants to quit because of it. And I don't know what it is. I could only assume that yes, it's embarrassing and it's hard to take the L. But I'm trying to convince him like, listen, it's not over. You're young. That guy was the better man that day. There's a couple of things that you can do. You're not fighting at your natural weight class. So I'm trying to convince him that, to keep going, like just stay consistent. Your time will come, and it breaks my heart that he don't see what I see, but
just give it time, man. Time is the healer of all.
Yeah. So hopefully he, I mean, I think I don't know if I got off track a little bit, but yeah, Joe Smith, hard work is definitely the best investment a man can make.
Man, I'm proud of him, man, and I'm like, looking at that story and seeing him just grow and just really becoming like a world caliber fighter in front of my eyes. I was just like, yo, I mean, that's what's up, man. That's why you watch this sport, and that's the type of guys you want to root for, man, to come from that background. This man was laying as an iron worker, 15 hours a day, and still pursuing boxing. He got to fight Bernard Hopkins after he going to work 15 hours a day as a union worker, man. I mean, man, hats off to him and his team, man, and the best to them on February 13th. Got a lot of boxing coming up. We had the honor of being blessed with the presence of Hector Bermudez. Hector, tell them where they can follow you at, where they can keep in touch with you.
Yeah, don't. The people that need to get in touch with me, they'll get in touch with me. I got people hitting me up that don't have no business hitting me up.
Come on, man. You got fans, you got people who like you,
Yeah. The social media thing, just put it in there. I don't know.
We look, follow Hector Bermudez on Facebook, but we got to answer this question before we go. Kaylin Vance says, do you guys think a 22-year-old who trains like 2 or 3 days a week and has been for a couple of years, do you think if they started training more, they can go pro? A lot of people got that. Anybody can go pro, but a lot of people don't understand that either. They think it's like collegiate sports. You want to explain it? So you got a guy who's 22, trains 2-3 times a week and has been doing it for a couple years. Wants to know if he starts training more consistently, could he go pro?
So the question makes me nervous. If he's training 2 to 3 times a day.
No, 2 to 3 times a week.
Oh, no, it's definitely more than just physical, right? The mentality of being a professional weighs more than just turning pro in boxing, because anybody could go pro in boxing. Conor McGregor didn't have one fight in the amateurs, and he just applied for a license. Yeah, given that he's an MMA fighter, but to take an example of it, you just go apply for a license and you'll get it, rather than being ready and mentally and physically prepared to be a pro is a different story.
Different, way different. So, Keelan, my advice to you is go full time, become a full time amateur boxer. Start to hone in on your craft, become a master of your basics, get those amateur fights, compete amateur, compete in the amateurs and see, how you do from there. And then, the people that you have working with you can better assess you to saying, yeah, you have a pro career. No, you don't have a pro career. Cause I'm going to be quite honest. I started walking, holding, I heard this from another coach. I started holding applications in my gym for all the fighters that walk in there and want to be boxers. Some just don't have it. And if they don't have it, I give them an application that they can use to get a job.
Well, we need fighters that we need those type of fighters too, because we had to, when you have a fighter that he has to also be molded and work on different things, and he got to get the experience from an actual fight, but we don't want the fight to be that difficult.
Yeah.
We need someone like him. Tell me.
No, man, don't be trying to discourage him. My man's in the Army. He ain't got the time. Look, when you get out of the Army, if you want to listen, this is the realest advice I can ever give you. If you want to be one of the best amateur boxers, if you want to be one of the best professional boxers, boxing has to be your life. There's nothing else. You're going to be making sacrifices where people are going to be calling you cold-hearted. You don't care about nobody but yourself, this, that, and the third. That's the type of person you have to be. You have to eat, breathe, sleep, boxing. That's it. Nothing else comes in between that. So if you're ready to give everything up and just dedicate your whole life to boxing, then yes, you could do something in the sport of boxing. If you can't dedicate and give everything up, then no, you shouldn't enter the sport of boxing. Because I get called a deadbeat, I get called a bad husband, I get called a bad father. I only care about myself. I'm cold-hearted. But this is the way I have to be to get to the number one ultimate goal that I want to get to. And Hector, I remember us having a deep conversation about that in Vegas when I was like, man, I can't. Everybody call me this. I'm not that dude. You know, I just want to be. I want to get here. And he said, yeah, but look, man, if you didn't have boxing, look how many different bad ways you could have been on everybody else.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like I said, don't worry about them people, man. You gotta live your life. You have to, if you ain't right, you can't get nobody else right. You can't get your community right. You gotta get yourself right. But as far as that individual, man, I just think that uh, there's a saying, right? There's a saying. I think it goes something like, "When the student is ready, the master will appear, the teacher will appear." And if that same individual stay consistent, I think he'll get the right finger pointing in the right direction.
But prepare to give everything up. If you want to be great at this, man, you got to give everything up. Your life. That quote is so great, man. Like what Canelo came out with, boxing is life. That's literally it. Boxing is life.
No boxing, no life, something like that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no boxing, no life, or but boxing is life.
Oh, definitely.
That's my quote there. Boxing is life.
Yeah, and similar to what you said, like,
you gotta have
people call you all those different things and all those negative things, but you're giving it all to boxing. You're still doing a great thing. You're doing great things for your fighters and guys that you're mentoring.
Yeah.
So
No,
don't let
I
that
remember. I
beat
just
you down.
remember. No, it don't beat me up because when I had that talk with you, it was deep, and you was like, "Look, man, if you didn't have boxing, you could have been like a mass murderer. If you didn't have boxing, you could have been like a piece, like just a shitty person, period. But this is boxing is what keeps you balanced. You know what I'm saying? So I felt that and I was like, yeah, I can't worry. But if I want to reach these goals, man, and I'm sacrificing all this for my family can have a better life. So my family don't have to do the things that I did. And, this is why I'm sacrificing. And this is what also keeps me pushing because I can never look to those people that I love and tell them that I failed and I wasted all that time. But Hector, man, I appreciate you coming on to the show. Rope a Dope podcast, man. What do you think about it?
Oh, I think it's
used to be my biggest critic.
Yeah, no, it's a great thing because there's just a lot of avenues that we can create that it's not just training, and like I said, I could, I wrap hands, I do cuts, I train people, and this is awesome. This is just another avenue. It's about boxing and it goes along with all the title belts. It's just so much, the more that you can bring into boxing and add in a positive way, the better it is for people like us that's really into it. So I think it's a dope name, Rope a Dope, and I think you're doing a good job.
So when I first started the Rope a Dope, I started sharing it with the boxer group. Somebody said, man, I got Rope a Dope radio, man. You can take the name. I'm like, yo, bro, I ain't trying to steal your name. Like, this is universal in boxing. This is universal boxing language, Rope a Dope. But I said, we could spar for the name. Because I'm not the casual fan on the podcast. No, man. But no, I appreciate you being on here. You got to be on here a lot more, man, because we get deep with the topics, and people can really learn and see boxing, through your words and through your experiences, man. And they could just see it ain't all about. It's a lot more than just getting in the ring, man, and lacing up gloves and punching, man. It's a lot before that happens. I get there, man, and a lot, everything they go through before that fight. They win that fight before they even get to the ring with the shit they have to go through.
Indeed. I think so too. Yeah, I think this is great, man. I think this is great. It takes a lot of time away from people that got shit to do, but I think it's awesome.
Man, you ain't lying. But listen, I appreciate you. We're gonna wrap it up, man. I appreciate you for coming on. Make sure all you guys share this. Make sure you go to Anchor and Spotify and Google Podcasts and subscribe to the podcast. The podcast audio will be out tomorrow. The YouTube channel will be out. Go there, like and subscribe so you guys don't miss any content. Next week we'll have fighter Leonardo Tyner on there. You know him?
Who?
Leonardo Tyner. You gotta know him. Look him up, man. This motherfucker's a monster.
He's young or an old time fighter?
No, he's older, man. He started boxing like when he was 28.
Oh, yeah,
you know what I'm saying? And he's old. He's older now, but yeah. So we'll have him on next week, man, talking about his experiences and how he started the sport late at 28 years old and fought Canelo Alvarez, DeMarco Antonio. He's fought them all, and he's came up on some good wins over some big names. So make sure you guys tune in to Rope-A-Dope Podcast next week for that. Hector, I appreciate you coming on.
All right, man. Hey, listen, have a good day, man.
You too, brother, man. I appreciate it. Appreciate all you guys for tuning in.